What's going on, YouTube family? Back here with another one. It's your man Top Z. Man, we're gonna get straight to it. I want to know why rich people do dumb stuff when they've worked so hard to get to the position that they're in, and why they jeopardize everything they work for. So, as everybody should know by now, probably does know about because it's all over the news, you got the Diddy situation. He's just a prime example. Now, I ain't trying to pick on him. He's already, I don't like kicking people when they're down, but it's just a prime example. He is a billionaire. He worked hard his entire life creating music, creating a record label, and, doing all this stuff, making all this money. And he gets to that level of success and gets now basically is looking at life in prison for doing a bunch of horrendous crimes, allegedly. I try to stay out of the news and media as much as possible because, they try to distract you from what's really going on in the world. And, but I just keep seeing countless of stories of of rich people that just do horrible things and jeopardize their freedom and their family and their livelihood. I think rich people, man, they just get so, disconnected from where they originally started. Now, some people were born into money, so they don't even know what it's like to be poor. And, those people have, weird outlooks on life. Everybody has a different outlook on life. But if you've never been through hardship or never went without a meal or never went without, clothes on your back or a roof over your head and things of that nature, you don't know what it's like. So it's hard for them to even think about what it would be like because they've always had everything handed to them. But those that, started from the mud, had nothing, and now work so hard to build themselves a great life and to that level of success, to be a billionaire or a millionaire, or even, somebody that's just worked hard and saved up hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, to me, that's rich, as far as like money financially, you know what I mean? Because I've made other videos where just because you got money doesn't make you rich, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm rich because I got, healthy kids, I got a beautiful wife, I'm doing good in life. So, but anywho, but just like back to original topic, I just feel like, what is it like? Can y'all help me? Leave it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Cause I feel like if I was that rich, man, I'd have so much to do that I would never, there's so much good that they can do, and they get corrupted by Hollywood and peer pressure and just boredom, and it just blows my mind. So if there's any rich people out there, man, you're thinking about doing criminal activity and you're bored, or you need something to do and you need somebody that's going to keep it real in your life, man, hit me up. For real, because I feel like people don't have the right people around them. I'm gonna make another video about that too, of selecting the right friend group, because, man, birds of a feather flock together. And if you're around a bunch of degenerate people, even if you're successful and powerful, you'll end up succumbing to doing dumb stuff. And I feel like with the Diddy case, he just had people around him that were just being yes men. And it started probably with, getting to cut the line instead of having to wait in line like the normal people, or getting special treatment at restaurants. And then he was like, man, this is cool. And then he just kept going and going and going. And then next thing you know, he's having freak offs, is what they're calling it in the news, where he's just having people, women and whoever, dudes and whatever, he just, using his power and control over them. And, that's allegedly, and there's a bunch of alleged crimes that he did. Y'all can go check out the articles, but I'm not just picking on him. I'm just saying, you're a billionaire and you're doing these crazy things. Now you're looking at life in prison. And I see that a lot in the music world too, and just the entertainment world. These musicians, come from nothing. They know what it's like. They get a little bit of money now that they made a couple of good songs, and they got their careers taken off. And instead of remembering what you came from and, trying to take that money, obviously take care of yourself first, because if you're not taken care of, you can't take care of others. So make sure you're taken care of. But then they go and they still want to go back to the streets and do dumb stuff instead of going back to the streets and helping like small business owners, or helping like the youth, and building like rec centers and things like that. There's so much stuff like billionaires like Diddy could have been doing with their money in their free time to make them, to keep their image alive, to keep relevant in the news. You don't got to do goofy, crazy stuff. Like people, obviously negativity sells, and I've talked a lot about that. That's why, my channel is going to take a little longer to pop off, which I still have faith that it will. But I'm not preaching negativity. I'm not telling people to go do dumb stuff. I'm not going to go do dumb stuff just to get a little bit of clout and fame. I'd rather take it the slow way, and try to put some positivity and a good message and some motivational content out, and try to help people better their lives. And I'm poor, basically, financially, I've gotten trapped in the 9-to-5, and, I wouldn't say I'm, dirt poor, but I ain't rich by any means. And I was just thinking like, man, what I keep seeing these people, like there's another dude, Wes Watson. He got out of prison, started making content. He blew up. He's making all this money now to the point where he can buy $600,000 cars, and then he's getting himself in illegal troubles, And I kind of get it. I got my own thoughts on it, but I kind of want to know what y'all think. But yeah, like I just feel like they get bored, and like they're, you can only eat. I don't feel that way. I feel like I would be cool, if I had a personal chef, like I'd be in the best shape. I'd be trying to motivate others. I'd be going back and giving back to the youth and the communities I grew up in or surrounding areas. Because I don't know if you guys seen, but I dropped a couple of shorts the other day where it's like, that's real life situations, not that very far from me. People are walking around. They have to look over their shoulder everywhere they go. Everybody's fighting for crumbs. So there's criminal activity. There's just drugs everywhere. There's a dude's channel that I found. His channel, go check it out. It's called AML Films. And he lives in like Philadelphia or something like that. And he walks around and just shows what the streets are like. And I feel like that's in every inner city. It's just horrible right now. And these billionaires, they're worried about getting the next biggest yacht, or how many women they could be with, or I guess dudes too, if that's what they're into. But I mean, they're just, it's just crazy wild stuff. And then like, that's not good enough. Then they want to, basically, force people to do things and use it as blackmail. And it's just, they go down these dark roads, and, like getting into fights. Like the one dude, Wes Watson, he got into a fight at a gym, which is, probably going to happen if you're a celebrity. You're going to have crazy people trying to come up and mess with you. But he's so rich, like he should have had a security team with him. He could have had his own gym to where he wouldn't have to worry about the public coming and messing with him. Like, he could be, building gyms. Yeah, he's all about fitness and stuff. Like you could be building gyms and getting people to, that's how he started. Like people, they start out going strong, pushing a positive message, like he was trying to get people motivated off the couch and stuff. And then now he don't even talk, like none of his stuff is even fitness content no more. It's like they just switch up, they change up completely, and then they just start acting crazy because they got all this money and fame, and they just think they're invincible. And obviously they're not, because you can see what's going on right now in the news. I mean, just countless people are just doing dumb stuff, and it just blows my mind when they could be helping people, man. And I guess that's just my take on it. I would be trying to help out as many. I know one person can't just save the world, and I know you don't want to spend all your hard-earned money on trying to fix people that don't want to be fixed. But man, you could like do something, man. There's the possibilities are endless, and if you do it, the next thing you know, another person might team up with you, and they might do it, and then another sponsor might sponsor you because you're doing something good. Like I would love to, if I ever get rich and famous, to be able to go back and like uplift my community that I grew up in, because I grew up in a rough area. There's not a lot. The schooling's bad. We could be, they could be putting their money together to actually protest against, real stuff that needs to be talked about, like the poverty in all the inner cities and the crime in the inner cities and things like that. Like you could be putting, events on to try to teach young kids like to go down the right path and not go down these bad paths. But no, they want to still do dumb stuff. They want to ride around illegal ways and do illegal things. And it just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I guess after so long of being rich, it just gets boring. I don't know, but I would never jeopardize what I've worked so hard for some kind of like stupid fun. And I'm sure alcohol was involved, drugs were involved, and that's a big epidemic in this country. People get drunk and they get high, and then they got that power, and everybody's saying yes to them, and kind of, and they start going crazy. I guess, I don't know, but to anybody out there that's starting to make some money, man, like, don't let that stuff, don't switch up. Remember where you came from. Remember when you didn't have nothing, and try to help out the next man. Build up a friend, build up a family member, find somebody who actually needs help, and not somebody who's, not that you're, because I get it. Like people, they probably help, like rich people, they help people, and then the people that they help aren't people that appreciate it, or use it for evil, and they go do drugs and stuff like that. So I mean, I get it. Some people just don't want to be helped, but there's so many families out here, like a hardworking fathers and like mothers that bust their ass working multiple jobs just to get by, and then the economy's just going up and up and up and up and up, and everything's just cost more. The cost of living's more. People are sleeping in storage units. People are sleeping in cars. People are in tents. People, the homeless epidemic's going crazy too. And, they could be coming together and trying to build up our communities, working with the politicians, working with the community leaders, working with the people who actually want to make a change. There's a lot of people that would love to make a change, but they don't have the financial backing. That's where you could come in. If you're rich, you could be helping out. And that gives you purpose. That gives you something to say, man, I did something with my life. You're not going to get rewarded in that, we're only on this earth for a short term, and nobody really knows. Nobody has 100% clue exactly to where you're going to go, when you die. But if there is, an afterlife of some sort, and you are getting judged on what you do on this earth, do you think you're going to get rewarded for being greedy and not helping people, and you got all this money and all you care about is having the next best thing and shitting on a person? Like, I could never drive, I like nice stuff too, don't get me wrong. Like, I would make sure I'm good and my family's good, but like materialistic things mean nothing. Helping people means something. Helping people get out of a struggle, even if it was, getting somebody out of a rough environment, so that way you find a kid that has good potential, but he's stuck in an environment where he has no choice but to join a gang. He has no choice but to do illegal crime and activity, because, there's no other options. There's no businesses anymore because of COVID. There's not any other outlets for them. They try to do the right thing and go get a job at McDonald's or something, because that's the only thing, but then they get bullied on the way there and on the way back, because other people in their community are just, so far gone. And like, a lot of people just throw their hands up and like, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. And it's not how it is. We can make a change. If a lot of people, celebrities and famous people and billionaires, and they all started coming together and making a change and made that the new social norm, and we all started like shaming like these people that are promoting violence and doing drugs and shootings and all this bad stuff, and instead of idolizing that kind of behavior, because all we're doing is teaching the next generation, oh, that's cool, and then they want to be like that person. I know, because I've been there. I grew up listening to like rappers and stuff, and was like, man, that sounds cool. Like, I want to do that. I want to smoke. I want to drink. I want to carry a gun and do all this crazy stuff. And all it did was make me go down a bad path. And that's just the way it is, because people, they don't have fathers, they don't have family members, so they look up to these their idols, or their favorite entertainer. And what they do is, a lot of people are not even living like that. They just put it on there because it sells, and then they're not even living like that. But kids that grow up watching these people, and goes, oh, they're rich, they got a nice car, they got a big house, they got jewelry, they got all the women, I want to do that. And next thing you know, they get shot or killed, or they go to prison, and they're not living And those people that are pretending to be that way 99% of the time live in a mansion somewhere in a gated community with security, and they don't have, you know what I mean? They're not actually living that life. They just make a video pretending like they live that life because they rent out. They have, behind the scenes, they told the police they're going to shoot a music video here. We're going to pretend like we're doing this or that, but it's just fake. And then they put it out in the world, and these younger kids, they grow up watching that stuff, and then they want to do it. And it makes me sick because, like, that's what you're selling. You're doing that for a little bit of money. And then the people that already have money, like, keep doing it. They want to double down. They want to triple down. They want to keep going and going and going. And the next thing you know, man, they're ruining so many other people's lives to benefit their own life. So they could get some money from these companies that are paying these entertainers to live a false life. And they're reaping all the benefits and rewards, while our youth and 99% of other people who aren't going to get a record deal or go into the league or go to be a famous movie star, all the other people that think they can, be like that and act like that and live that same life, their lives get ruined. And man, hopefully our culture can come together and, we can start making a change in the right direction, man, because it's just going south quick. Like, I just hear every day I turn on the news, I hear about multiple shootings, and I know it's senseless. I know it's probably pointless. It was over $20 that somebody robbed somebody, or, some drugs that mean nothing, or materials possession. Somebody got robbed and shot for their car, and got robbed for their car, just goofy stuff. And meanwhile, these celebrities and all these people, we got all these millions of dollars that are living the high life and sitting back watching this, they probably don't even know what's going on because they're so disconnected. They don't care. They're like, those people are, they treat like poor people like animals. So it's like the haves and the have-nots, and that divide is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're trying to keep the people that are poor divided, so we're fighting amongst each other over scraps. Meanwhile, they're over here, having sex parties and drug parties and doing wild ass stuff. So I'm kind of glad that, I don't wish nobody, I don't want nobody to, have to sell themselves, because all them people that Diddy probably had at them parties and stuff, man, they're probably poor, and he was like, hey, look, you come live this lavish lifestyle with me, just come party with me. And next thing you know, you're there with a bunch of celebrities. And I would never do that because I keep it too real. I don't give who it is. I don't care if you're a billionaire, a millionaire, famous. None of that stuff matters to me. It matters to me the kind of character you are. Now, if I see you're on bull stuff, you know what I mean? And you're trying to get me to, get drunk and do drugs and have sex with all these random women that who knows if they're doing it with consent or they're doing it because you paid them and all this crazy stuff. Like, nah, I ain't selling my soul for nobody. And if I got to be poor to keep my soul, then that's what I'm going to do. Because ain't no price worth selling my soul. And that's why I just don't get why these rich people do it. Especially the ones that are already rich and they just keep on going and going. They don't just ride off into the sunset. Like, you made your money. Ride off into the sunset. Do things behind closed doors. You don't have to make a video about helping people. Go to the hood and build a community center. That'd be cool, having the, Diddy before all this stuff. Now it wouldn't be nothing. His name's trash, his character's trash, his reputation's trash, his whole image is trash. He's over with. But I'm just saying, the next person coming up that's famous, like, you could make, rec centers that you can make some money off of. Obviously, charge $5 for entry or whatever, have some, but so it's like you could build something to where people can actually use it and benefit themselves. Like, build up trades, you know what I mean? Like, have trades so kids, when they first get out of high school, they have something to go to. A lot of people, they don't have purpose. There's no jobs. They don't know where to go. They don't have family. There's a lot of broken homes. Everybody's divided. And they just have no purpose or direction, so they turn to the streets. And even the street dudes, I see, if you watch my short, even the street dudes that are really been in the streets their whole life will tell the youth, don't get in, stay in school, don't get in the streets. But it's not that easy, because you could be doing everything right, and there's so many bright, talented individuals that are forced to protect themselves. So they got to walk around with guns just to go to the gas station. And then there's another person that might be high on drugs that looks at them and like, what you looking at, punk? And then next thing you know, they're in a shootout and the dude gets killed. And he was a bright person going to work, going to job, but he has forced to live there because he was born into a poor environment. They ain't, a lot of people don't get, nobody gets to choose where they're born. A country and living a lavish lifestyle and mansions and stuff. Meanwhile, the real people, the real American citizens, the average American citizen are struggling. And it's sad. So, man, hopefully this gets out to somebody that's rich that, wants to make a change and does better for themselves and keeps their image strong, because there's a lot you could do to get famous, and it doesn't have to be negative. It could be, helping people out, like, people talk about Mr. Beast, but look what he did. He's super famous. Everybody knows about him, but what does he do? He does little prank challenges and stuff, but, he helps a lot of people out too. He makes his content, but he helps a lot of people. He changes a lot of people's lives. Now, look at, there was controversy around him too. He had people on his team that were doing wild stuff because they got that money and they just started doing, the like horrendous things. I mean, I don't know anything else allegedly too, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got people like, Steve Will Do It. He made his money. He started, he sells alcohol. He's, not really, he's succumbed to that, I guess that's how he makes his money or whatever. He was, but is by drinking. So he just rolled with it and started his own drinking company and stuff like that. His own alcohol brand. But I don't suggest anybody drinks. Obviously, if you've seen any of my other videos, it's a waste of time. And you could be going to the gym, but he at least gives back to people. He's made multiple videos where he's helped people out and bought them stuff and like got them, changed their life around. And that makes people feel good, man. That's what would make me feel good, to like get one of my friends that I know I know so many good people that take care of their family, that provide for their family, that work overtime. They sell their lives working for these companies. They give them crumbs, and they do the best they can, and they're really, really good people. And there's a lot of real people out here that do the same thing. They just provide, and all they want to do is live a happy, peaceful life with their family, but there's not a lot of options, so hopefully this might help somebody to help somebody. And if it does, hey, shout out to y'all. Thank you.